With summer vacations right around the corner, why not think of spending some time in a cemetery?
Huh. Okay. That's
Yeah.
different.
Right. But cemetery tourism is apparently on the rise, and that's what we're discussing today. We're looking at this blog post called Cemetery Tourism, a growing trend in heritage travel.
Okay, cemetery tourism. It sounds a little maybe unexpected as a travel idea, yeah.
Yeah.
But I read the post too, and it makes a really compelling case for these places being far more than just, final resting spots.
Yeah, buddy.
They're presented as these incredible time capsules.
They really are. And honestly, this isn't a totally foreign concept to me personally. My own research into genealogy actually led me down this path before.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but let's explore the idea in this post first. It talks about this trend. What exactly is driving it, according to the article?
What's fascinating and what the article highlights is that it's not just one type of visitor.
Yeah.
Traditionally, places of mourning. But now they're being seen and visited as destinations for like a multitude of reasons. It sometimes uses the term graveyard tourism.
Right.
But it really emphasizes the appeal stretches way beyond anything morbid or, spooky.
Okay, so it's not just about seeking out ghost stories or something. There's a much broader interest.
Absolutely. People are drawn for history, for genealogy, for the art and architecture you find there, for cultural heritage, and sometimes, honestly, just for a sense of peace.
Mm-hmm.
The article frames them as places that preserve stories, offering this unique, tangible link to the past.
A tangible link, yeah, that resonates. The post really spells out why these places are such a draw for different people, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. From like history enthusiasts, those monuments, the inscriptions,
Yeah.
they're more than just names and dates.
Right.
They offer these glimpses into actual lives, into the values, the events of bygone eras. You can almost kind of feel the history under your feet.
And for anyone interested in family history, like you mentioned with your genealogy,
Yeah.
the connection is immediate, right?
Oh, absolutely. Finding ancestral graves, piecing together timelines. The article points out that cemetery records, the stones themselves, they're invaluable for genealogists.
Totally. That personal connection.
Precisely. And that's a significant driver for visits. But even beyond the historical data, there's this huge artistic and architectural appeal. You just have to look around.
Yeah. Like what?
Think about the craftsmanship in old headstones, right? The scale and detail of some mausoleums, the sculptures.
Oh, yeah. Some are incredible.
They showcase such diverse styles, different cultural influences.
Yeah.
You could see how things have evolved over centuries.
I love that point. Some of these places really are like outdoor museums for funerary art and historical design. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the post also touches on something less academic, more experiential, I guess. That sense of peace you find there.
Yes, exactly. It describes them as places of respite. Many were actually designed with beautiful landscapes in mind.
Like parks, almost.
Sort of, yeah. Rolling hills, mature trees, garden-like settings. They offer this really serene environment, a quiet break from the city rush, gives you space for reflection, and this unique connection where nature and history kind of meet.
That sense of peace, the history, the genealogy link. That actually mirrors my own experience perfectly.
Your genealogy trip.
Yeah. So, prompted by some family tree research, I actually took a trip to Seattle with my family a while back, specifically to visit a cemetery where some of our ancestors are buried.
Okay.
And we weren't there because someone had recently passed, We went because it was part of our story, our history.
Right. So what was that like, walking through a cemetery with that kind of personal historical mission?
It was genuinely moving in a way I didn't fully anticipate. We found the gravestones of my great-great-grandparents.
Wow.
And seeing their names there together, the dates of their lives, it just grounds the history. It made them feel so much more real than just names on a chart,
I can imagine.
And the cemetery itself was stunning. Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle, actually. It had exactly that peaceful atmosphere the article describes. These beautiful old trees, amazing views over Lake Washington. And we also found ourselves really looking at the design of the older stones, the structure.
So it wasn't just the family connection.
No, it was this unexpected blend of personal discovery, connecting with family history, but also appreciating this beautiful, peaceful space and feeling a tangible link to that specific time and place in Seattle's past. It completely illustrated the points the article makes about that multifaceted appeal.
That's a fantastic example of how these visits can be a deeply enriching experience. And the article highlights that cemeteries themselves are starting to recognize this growing interest.
Right.
They aren't just static grounds anymore. They're actively engaging with the idea of being heritage destinations.
How are they doing that? What kind of things are places implementing, according to the post?
Well, the article pointed out several key ways. Guided tours are becoming more common, often led by people who can share incredible stories about the history of the place, notable people buried there, or explain the symbolism in the monuments, that kind of thing.
That makes sense, turning it into more of an educational experience. And I imagine leaning into the genealogy aspect is big, too.
Definitely. Providing easier access to burial records, making maps available, sometimes even having online databases.
Right, tools for researchers.
Exactly. These resources are invaluable for those tracing family history. But they're also offering self-guided options, things like brochures, detailed maps, or even mobile apps.
Oh, an app guide. That sounds really helpful for navigating some of those huge old cemeteries.
Yeah, letting you explore points of interest at your own pace. And the article also mentioned something that surprised me a bit, some cemeteries hosting events.
Events? Like what?
Yes, things you might not really expect, like historical reenactments, sometimes concerts, or even art exhibitions.
Wow, okay. In a cemetery.
Yeah, it's a way to invite people in, showcase the space's unique cultural heritage, and kind of demonstrate that these aren't just places of sadness. And even just having visitor centers with basic amenities, restrooms, seating, informational displays, that significantly improves the experience for visitors who aren't just there for burial.
It sounds like they're trying to be welcoming to this new type of visitor while still, preserving the fundamental nature of the place. The article is careful to emphasize that crucial balance, right?
Oh, that's a critical point it makes. Encouraging tourism is one thing, but maintaining the sanctity of the space and ensuring respect for the deceased and any mourners present, that's paramount.
Absolutely.
The article stresses the importance of clear guidelines for visitors, things like staying on paths, being mindful of noise, not disturbing grave sites or memorials. The primary function of the cemetery, it says, must always be respected.
Absolutely. It's a place of history and reflection, but it requires a certain reverence. The article also touched briefly on how cemeteries can effectively promote themselves for this heritage tourism angle.
Yeah, pretty standard practices, but tailored to the context. So a good website highlighting the history and features, using social media to share stories and images, collaborating with local tourism boards, historical societies, or genealogical groups. And clear signage is also mentioned as essential, both for navigation and informing visitors about the site's significance.
Thinking about these ideas, it definitely helps to picture actual places that embody this trend. The blog post highlights some really famous cemeteries in the U.S. that are considered notable destinations.
It gives some fantastic examples. Take Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia.
Right. Iconic.
Instantly recognizable, the final resting place for hundreds of thousands of service members. A visit there is primarily about paying respects, obviously, witnessing the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Which is incredibly moving.
It really is. And connecting with national history, you find figures like JFK, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and just countless military heroes. It really embodies that national historical dimension.
That's such a powerful experience. Okay, shifting gears completely. There's Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles. The article describes it as almost a pilgrimage site for film fans.
It really taps into that cultural history aspect. It's still an active cemetery, but it famously hosts events, like outdoor movie screenings, right there on the lawn.
On the lawn, wow.
Drawing on its connection to Hollywood's golden age, people like Judy Garland, Rudolph Valentino, even musicians like Chris Cornell are buried there. It's this unique blend of history, pop culture, and ongoing events.
From national solemnity to Hollywood glam and outdoor movies, that's quite a range. The article also mentions Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York.
Ah, Greenwood. Yeah, that's a National Historic Landmark. It was one of America's earliest rural cemeteries, known specifically for its stunning landscape design and these elaborate monuments.
So designed to be beautiful.
Exactly. It was conceived as a place of beauty and reflection, almost like a park. It offers incredible views of the Manhattan skyline, apparently, and is the resting place for a fascinating mix of people, like artist Jean-Michel Basquiat and composer Leonard Bernstein.
Wow. Basquiat and Bernstein resting nearby. Incredible. That really highlights the landscape and art dimensions. And then for something completely different, St. Louis Cemetery #1 in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, that one stands out because of its unique architecture, right? The famous above-ground tombs.
Because of the water table.
Exactly. Because of the low water table in New Orleans, ground burial wasn't practical. leading to these distinctive vaults and tombs. It's the city's oldest existing cemetery, this dense maze that tells the story of Creole history and culture.
Fascinating.
You find figures like the Voodoo Queen, Marie Laveau, and, yes, even a pyramided tomb built for Nicolas Cage apparently waiting for him. So it's this blend of deep history and modern quirks.
That one truly highlights the unique architectural and cultural aspects. You really feel the place.
Okay, maybe one more for early American history. How about the Granary Burying Ground in Boston?
Ah, yeah, right there on the Freedom Trail. Established way back in 1660.
Wow, old.
Very. And it's a major historical site because it holds the graves of so many key figures from the American Revolution: Paul Revere, John Hancock, Samuel Adams.
The big names.
Yeah, the big names. It's a direct, tangible connection to the nation's founding moments. Perfect for history buffs visiting Boston.
These examples really drive home the point, don't they? Cemeteries are far from uniform or just sad places. They are these vibrant landscapes holding such diverse stories and appealing to a really wide range of interests.
Exactly. I think the key takeaway from this article really is that looking at cemeteries through the lens of heritage travel reveals them as legitimate, compelling destinations. Places for connecting with history, art, culture, nature, even personal ancestry, and often in unexpectedly beautiful and peaceful settings. It completely reframes how you might think about these spaces next time you drive by one, or maybe plan a trip. It makes you wonder, have you, listening now, ever visited a cemetery just to explore the history or the art, or maybe look for family connections?
Yeah, or did you even know about the notable people or unique features in a cemetery near you before?
By recognizing and respectfully encouraging this kind of visitor, cemeteries can truly unlock their potential as educational and inspiring cultural sites. The article really makes you see the untapped richness in them.
It really does. It makes you pause and think about the stories literally buried right there in our own communities. What could visiting your local cemetery teach you about the history of your town, the people who built it? Or maybe even connect you more deeply to your own family's past? We'll be back next time with another thought-provoking exploration of a topic that matters.